of the district. The Upper Marlboro shop out of the District 3 office is 980 lane miles. The Fairland shop is the second largest in Montgomery County, 844. The Laurel shop, which is another Prince George's shop, is 817. And the Gaithersburg shop is the smallest, and that's 783 lane miles. What we found is that the Fairland shop is 136 less lane miles than Upper Marlboro. The Laurel shop is 163 lane miles smaller than the Upper Marlboro shop, and the Gaithersburg shop is 197 lane miles smaller than the Upper Marlboro shop. What we end up seeing is that there is a huge disparity in terms of dollars that goes towards each one of these lane miles. So what we found out is there is a $300,000 difference from the Upper Marlboro and Fairland shop, and there's 136 mile difference, and then 200,000 for the Laurel shop, where there is a 163 lane mile difference. And then for the Gaithersburg shop, it's smaller, but in terms of per mile, the difference, they're getting $1,284.31 difference, which is extremely disheartening to know that they're getting that much money and they have a smaller amount of lane miles in comparison to the Upper Marlboro shop. So Justin, that's a major concern and a major issue that we're going to have to address this upcoming session. We'll be working with the Appropriations Committee to bring light to this and to address it. It's concerning. That's exactly why we're seeing the problems that we're seeing right now with the Upper Marlboro shop in comparison to the other shops throughout District 3. Next, Tasha, if you can share your screen so we can start walking through these actions. And once we're done with going through the actions, everybody, then we'll open it up to community comment afterwards, and then everybody can address their concerns and talk about how they feel about the financial differences or any of the other issues that they may have or concerns they have. Tasha, go ahead and share your screen so we can walk through these action items.
All right. Can you can see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Can everybody see the MDOT action list?
Yes.
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 Got it. All right. So the first one we're going to address is this Route 4 access road, the overpass over Route 301, Ritchie Marlboro Road, Route 4. Trash all along Route 4 from Presidential Parkway down to Silver Hill Road. Access road is known to dump spots, be as a dump spot with large loads of trash. I just drove off of Pennsylvania Avenue, and I saw the grass was cut off the 495 exit, but there was definitely trash still all over the place. Do you want to go ahead and address that, Justin? Or instead of me going through and reading each one of these, since everybody's looking at the screen, Justin, I could turn it over to you and you can kind of walk through each one of these issues, and Tasha scroll down as we go through each one.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I want to thank those who have given us pretty good feedback and appreciation for everything that's been done since the previous meeting and today. And a lot of this is going to tie into a similar concern, and that is, I think, starting with 4 and the other roads included. I mean, we've done a significant amount of mowing in the past month. The shops, as well as our contractors, have all received the instruction to pick up litter prior to and unfortunately after the mowing crews have gone through. So what we're running into now is, as you're seeing this grass cut, we did have crews go ahead of the mowers. They picked up as much visible grass as possible, or litter as possible prior to mowing. But we're still seeing what looks to be significant amounts of litter afterwards. And we are having crews follow the mowing crews to pick up litter again behind them. The issue we're running into with that is obviously the mowing crews who are mowing faster than what the litter crews can pick up. I mean, you're talking, let's just say 5 miles a day for an equipment crew to be out there mowing the grass, and then 1 mile a day to pick up the litter. They're lagging behind. And that's what we're kind of seeing now. For specifically, we've noticed a lot of litter that's remaining after the mowers have gone through. We've identified that, and we're adding extra crews in to go behind them and pick up that litter, but we're seeing it honestly everywhere. It's not just a Route 4 issue. 202, we've seen it, 214, we've seen it, 301, not as bad, but we're still seeing it. So specifically to the Route 4, the overpass at 301, the interchange at 301, as well as the Ritchie Marlboro exit, which is now open, by the way, that opened yesterday. So that ramp is no longer closed. That entire area is getting a lot of action on it right now with our mowing crews. So they're working a tremendous amount of time up on Route 4, doing the mowing as well as cleaning the litter. We want to move to 210. 210 was mowed. I believe they were actually in progress the last meeting we had, or they had just started or starting the next day after the last meeting we had. They actually started 210 again to mow a second cycle. The Charles County crew actually came down into the Akakeek area to begin assisting mowing there. We've got a couple litter complaints up there as well. That's been recognized and identified, and we've got crews that are coming out there. I think they went out there actually today to start removing the litter on 210. Moving to 202. The concerns on 202 together, overall, it needs to be cleaned up. We're working on mowing and picking up litter on 202. The asphalt issues on 202, a lot of that has to do with the WSSC projects that's going through, putting in or replacing water main. WSSC will be doing a permanent repair to all of the areas that have been dug up for the long water main that runs, I want to say almost halfway down 202, heading towards Marlboro. Our guys have requested from our construction division to find out the next time that we plan on doing a complete mill and overlay of 202, a resurfacing project. I expect to get an answer back from them probably within the next week and a half. So that'll be something that I can definitely update on the next meeting we have. All right, 214 medians and right shoulders. I think the concerns are, once again, grass and litter, and it's in the same boat that Route 4 and Route 202 are in. It's being mowed. The litter is being removed. 301, I think 301 looks actually a lot better than it has recently. They're actually in cycle of their second mow on 301 since our last meeting. They're also picking up litter. We have crews once again on all of our routes going ahead of and behind the mowing crews and the mowing activities. Exit 17A and B off of 495, as well as I'm assuming the I-95 comment. So I-95 is in the process of being mowed. That is state forces that are out there mowing that. They're also picking up litter as they go. 17A and B off of 495. That is scheduled to be in progress following some of the other roads getting taken care of. They are actively, they've already made one cycle through picking up trash. And they'll be making a second cycle when the mowing crews go through within the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. Some of the concerns regarding the brush and tree on some of the ramps, that is coming. We've identified some things that we're going to be doing in the future, and the brush and tree on all of these routes is going to be pushed back in the near future once we get some of these mowing cycles done. We also have extra guardrail crews coming down to do guardrail repairs. I know Pennsylvania Avenue or Route 4, Route 202, 214 do have significant guardrail hits that are going to be repaired. We have an extra lighting crew that's coming down to assist at 4 and 495. They expect about a week and a half. They should have all the lights back on in that area. And another thing that's been identified is on Pennsylvania Avenue at the Hartman Berkshire Park. We're looking at fixing the 2 barrier walls or the 2 sound walls that have been knocked down where the playground is. Delegate Charles, you want to go down to out of the locations and go into the issues?
Yeah. Before we get there though,
Uh,
one of the things you know, we talked about some of the things that have been done. Do you have actual dates and reports as to on this date this was actually done, on this particular issue was addressed, on this date this issue was addressed? And so I know you've mentioned there's been 3 cycles on certain roads, but some of the roads didn't get 3 cycles yet. So how do we get the
Agreed.
3 cycles on some roads and not others?
So I can get you those dates. I do not have specific dates because everything's been happening. I mean, as we've been going through the month, everything's been kind of happening all together. The contracts that we talked about last month, as well as some of the MES work, all came together almost immediately following the meeting we had. And we've had multiple contractors as well as state forces all doing this simultaneously throughout the month. The only roads that 301 is on its 2nd cycle since last meeting, and 210 is on its 2nd cycle through last meeting. Both of those, the second part of that cycle has started within the last week. So I can get your office specific dates. I can also have those prepared for next meeting. That way I can go over what the new action items are. I'll have specific dates for when the work was done and completed. As well as I think before and after photos, especially with some of this litter, might help.
Yeah, I think that's going to be critical for the people to feel like something is actually happening.
Sure.
You know, hearing that something has happened, and then you go out and you still see trash all over the place.
Absolutely.
That doesn't make people feel good. So
Understood.
having actual dates, before and after pictures, and I think that was one of the recommendations, if I can remember, I made about utilizing social media or your email system to mail it out, let people know that, hey, we've been on this road today, we've been on this road tomorrow, and
Okay.
then we'll be here. That way people see what the actual office is doing, what MDOT is doing, and they can kind of be, you know, it brings a level of pride and understanding when we know something is actually taking place.
Okay. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that's an excellent idea. My only ask to that is if I could coordinate with your office or with possibly Becca to see if we can get some kind of distribution set up, because we don't, at the district level, really do the social media outreach. If that's okay with you, we can get that information to you as it changes or on a weekly basis, if that works.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. I see somebody has their hand raised, man. We're gonna, if you just hold that question until we get to the end, and we'll open up the floor to the community, but you'll be the first person to get your question addressed. All right. Let's go through the grass cutting schedule, the littering enforcement, contract, staffing, all the above. Let's start tackling those issues.
Okay. So for the grass cutting schedule, right now, we are trying to get everything on the action list taken care of. Our goal is to, before now in November, have 2 more cycles on every road. That is all dependent on how long it takes our current contracts, because they're new. We don't know how fast they're going to be going to cut some of that stuff back, as well as pick up the litter. I can definitely, once we get this first round completed, get you a schedule on where we're going to be, and then kick it off into next spring when we're going to actually have the mowing starts back up. I do think, I'm very interested to hear, I know some of the concerns are of where we're starting, and historically we start cutting in one location annually without changing our mowing schedule. I think in the next couple of meetings, definitely dive into that a little bit more and see what those concerns are. Next year, we plan to have you a week or monthly schedule set in advance. And like you and I have talked, staying on top of that and being transparent about where we are. Right now, we're trying to catch up. I think the crews are doing a good job doing that. I by no means do I think that we need to declare a victory in that, because we're nowhere close to that. I think we need to be able to sustain getting it done and keeping it done, and then go from there. Littering enforcement, I can touch on that on one level. So SHA as an organization does not have the ability or the powers or the authority to do enforcement on litter. Prince George's County Police Department, as well as our local municipal police departments and the Maryland State Police, would be the points of contacts for the enforcement. Of course, along with your office, we would advocate for enforcement. What I can tell you is that the one thing that we're doing, realizing that we're going to continue having this litter issue. Everything that is kind of outside of our hands would be the enforcement. We're going to assist with education. But what we're looking at doing is getting mechanized equipment that makes picking up litter more efficient. We're looking at two different kind of units to either lease or purchase in the future. One is a vacuum-based unit. The second one is what we're probably leaning more towards, which would be it's a unit that's actually developed by the company that makes the beach sweepers that you see like in Ocean City that have the pole behind with the tractor. And that would actually kind of skim off the litter as they drive. And that would be very efficient for us. I think that would knock out a lot of these issues because they could actually keep pace with the mowing crews as they go. Eliminating a lot of this litter issue until we can get some kind of other change to where the litter is less. So enforcement really is going to have to be put off. That's not really an SHA issues. We will partner with whoever we can partner with for whatever ideas we can to get the litter reduced. Contracts. So contracts are evaluated. We put the contracts out. They're evaluated against our engineer's estimate. And typically, without getting too much into the procurement side of the house, which is really steep in policy and procedure, the low bidder is typically who we assign, as long as they're considered responsive and responsible, which means that they're the bid items that they were requested to bid on and all the paperwork is pretty much submitted correctly, and they can do the job. We do procure 2- and 3-year contracts for maintenance. I know that was one of the questions regarding, can we do 3-year contracts? And the numerous contractors competing for task orders is a very good idea. Whoever suggested that. And we are actually working on ways to implement that into our mowing program and to all of our maintenance contracts through an access management approach to doing maintenance, where everything will kind of be bundled, and then they would be competing for task orders, or not necessarily competing, but being awarded task orders within the contract itself. It might mitigate bad contractors. That would be the idea of behind doing it. And if not, maybe an easier idea would be to be able to replace those contractors a little bit easier without having to put the contract back out. The contractors from other districts coming into District 3 to assist. Is it allowed? It is allowed. The issue being that once we pull those other contractors in, every county or every shop has their contracts, which are needed by their shop. So ideally, the contracts that we have in place would be awarded and they'd be able to execute with no issues without having to pull the contracts from another area. The issue that we come into when we pull contracts from other areas is now that area is no longer receiving the services intended by the contract. Let's see, staffing. So one of the questions was MDOT SHA or MDOT has considered temporary landscaping workers. We do use temp workers. We have a contract out right now for maintenance support, temporary employees. Each shop has a contract for that and does utilize temporary employees already. Staff is leaving rapidly. We are doing active recruitments to fill those positions. I think all industries having issues with staff currently leaving their positions. Some of the things that we're doing is we're reaching out to vocational programs. I'm trying to, pull in that group of individuals who would be interested in working for the state. We're also looking at working with high schools and recent high school graduates, those who are not going to be going to college or looking at other options, trying to recruit them locally to work at some of our shops. And that's pretty much the two biggest things that we're doing right now, with a heavy emphasis on the vocational schools and the high schools. The boot camp program, I think we did touch on this relatively quickly the last meeting. I think it was one of the last things we talked about. We are still using inmates from the Department of Corrections. Each shop, at least in Prince George's County, Laurel and Upper Marlboro, both have crews, or a crew, I should say, from the Department of Corrections. But we are at the whim of the Department of Corrections. That is with their equipment issues they may run into, staffing level issues that they may run into, as well as any time with COVID or any other lockdown issues that they run into at the prisons. Once they lock down Dorsey Run, then we're not getting those crews wherever they're locked down. I believe that both shops are pulling from Dorsey Run currently. So any issues that they have at that prison, we don't have the boot camp or the inmate support for litter. That is typically a 5 to 8 person team that we typically rely on to pick up a lot of the litter in the area, because they walk and they actually handpick every piece of litter they come upon. Let's see, the legislation, I'm gonna have to defer that to Delegate Charles. I don't think I have the authority or the knowledge to answer some of that, the questions about legislation. And the illegal advertising signs, are they considered litter? They are, yes. They're definitely litter. We consider them illegal signs. Typically, we have one day a week that we go through an area and we'll have a crew do nothing but remove those. Fines are needed. It is illegal to put the signs up, and there are mechanisms in place within law to fine for those signs. It's not something that we currently do. It's something that is on the books for us to do, and I'm working on getting a little bit better explanation of why we're not doing that and seeing if we can start doing that again. But it's definitely an option.
All right. So we have some answers to some things, not a lot of good, not it's a lot more stuff that we have to address. I have a few members of the Prince George's County House delegation on, and some future members of the delegation. And I just want to give them a chance to lay out some of the issues and concerns that's also plaguing their districts as well. I'm going to start off with our second vice chair, Delegate Nicole Williams, who's on now, and open it up to her. And then once we get through these the 4 delegates that's on board and the call right now, or 1 delegate and 3 future delegates, then we'll open it up to the rest of the community. Nicole, I'll let you lay out your issues and concerns for roads that's in your district.
Thank you so much, Chairman Charles, and thank you all for being a part of this and really important conversation this evening. So for those who don't know, I represent District 22 here in Prince George's County, which consists of the areas of Hyattsville, University Park, Riverdale Park, Riverdale, Beacon Heights, Lanham, Greenbelt, New Carrollton, Berwyn Heights, and Edmonston. And so one of the big projects that's going through my district right now is the Purple Line, which I know a lot of people are super excited about. We are excited about the Purple Line coming here to District 22. However, along with the Purple Line has been a lot of road construction, and we understand that, given the litigious nature of what has gone on with the Purple Line, that there hasn't been much in the way of construction, which is about to resume, I believe, starting in October. But with some of the roads, even though I know it's somewhat temporary, if something can be done, especially at the intersection of Kenilworth Avenue and East West Highway, I travel down that roadway on a regular basis. And if I had a pickup truck, my truck would almost get destroyed by the potholes and the destruction going on in that particular intersection. And so that's probably one of the most egregious areas in my district. I know there's been a lot of conversation about litter pickup and trash, and I would just highlight Annapolis Road in my district. And I would say just the entire stretch of Annapolis Road from MLK all the way down as you get into Hyattsville. I would love to see the state do a much better job, especially at the light where you come off onto Annapolis Road from the Beltway there in New Carrollton. That is something that I've heard from a number of constituents. One of the things I think we've also reached out to State Highway about throughout our district, and I'm going to highlight Kenilworth Avenue right now in the city of Greenbelt, is one, just making it a lot more pedestrian friendly, especially at the intersection of Greenbelt Road and Kenilworth Avenue. Right there, you have Greenbelt Middle School. And so for my constituents that have children in Berwyn Heights that have to go across Kenilworth Avenue in order to get their kids to the middle school, it is very treacherous during school hours. And so if there is something that could be done to make it safer for my kids who live across the street in Berwyn Heights to get across Kenilworth Avenue to get to the middle school, that would be much appreciated. So those are kind of the big overarching items and complaints that I hear from my constituents in my district that I wanted to raise up.
Fourth Church.
Hello.
There you go. Are you good to go, Delegate Williams?
Yeah, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard everything except the last piece.
Oh, the last piece was regarding the intersection. Well, it's a Greenbelt Road. It's a little bit south, or maybe that's west of Kenilworth Avenue, where Greenbelt Middle School is located. Just that crosswalk there. So one side of Greenbelt Road is Greenbelt, the other side of Greenbelt Road is Berwyn Heights. And so for my students who live in Berwyn Heights, who have to go across Greenbelt Road to get to Greenbelt Middle School, it's very treacherous for them during rush hour times. And so it's something that could be done to make it a safer crossway for the kids who are coming over from Berwyn Heights across the street, across Greenbelt Road to get to Greenbelt Elementary School. That'd be most appreciated.
All right, thank you, Delegate Williams. I'm now going to open it up to Delegate-elect Tiffany Alston.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You can provide this information to me on follow-up, but one of the questions that I have is about the contracts that you all have with State Highway. I'd like to know how many of the businesses, how many contracts you currently have from businesses that are within Prince George's County, and how many county-based businesses apply for contracts during the bidding season. Also, there are a lot of problems up and down Central Avenue from the Beltway to the DC line regarding litter and pickup and the grass cutting. So I'd like to know, is there a mechanism to report this where people can see in real time that it's been reported and get an estimate on when it will be addressed? So the first question, you can feel free to follow up with me in writing to those answers. And the second one, if you have any information on the Central Avenue corridor, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Delegate Charles, can I say something right quick, please? Will it be better, like we did the last time when I intervened and said that as the questions come, can we answer them right there? So we won't forget, because the first part of the first questions need to be answered by Justin, and I can answer the second part of the questions, because that's my area. But I think Justin need to answer these questions we need to answer these questions as they go along, so we won't miss out on none of the answers that they're expecting to hear from us. Is that all right with you?
Weston, I'm definitely fine with that. I think it helps us move along faster also to get some answers. So if you want to tackle some of the Delegate Williams issues first, and then chime in on Delegate-elect Alston's issues, that'll be fine.
Okay, District 22. Justin will have to will have to answer those, but the other one for Central Avenue area, I can answer that, but it's coming out of my shop and I live in the area. So which one you want to go to first?
We can start with the first one in District 22 that you addressed. So let's go there and then we'll follow up with District 24's issues.
Okay.
Delegate Williams, good evening. I was taking notes on everything that you said regarding the safety improvements. That is something that I will forward to our traffic division. They would be the ones who would do the studies, generate and implement a work order, and then our shops or one of our contractors will go install that work order, whether that be just for a simple example, crosswalks or some type of signal modifications or what have you. But I'll definitely, I wrote down everything you said, and I will give that to them tomorrow to try to get feedback on what we can do. Hopefully we can have everything completed. They probably reach out to you directly to get a little bit more specifics on what exactly we're looking for and what more in depth the issues are, and then go from there. But they'll be very responsive, and hopefully by next meeting we can actually have a work order probably generated and start heading in that direction, whatever it may be, if that works for you.
Yeah, that works. And then did you hear the beginning portion of what I was saying with regards to East West Highway and Kenilworth Avenue?
Yes, ma'am. We're working, that has been a constant issue.
Yeah, but
throughout-
nothing's been done. I mean, that road's been tore up for
It has
over a
been.
year now.
It has been. And what we do with that, just so everyone's aware, with Purple Line, they're responsible for doing any repairs to the road, the areas that they're working on. The role that SHA has been playing has been, especially in that period where they were kind of in default. We have been going out there, and anything that will cause damage or destroy a car, we've been trying to fix after we've reached out to Purple Line, and we've continued getting questions about why the road's not getting fixed. So we are responsive for anything that is an emergency situation to go out there and repair. However, they're responsible for all repairs and maintenance within their work areas of what they're doing. And we have we have contacts with the Purple Line reps for that purpose. And sometimes they're more responsive than not, but if they're not responsive or we have an issue getting in touch with them, SHA does go out and immediately address a lot of the steel plate concerns or major pothole concerns that they have.
Yeah, it's a pothole concern right there at that intersection. And it's to the point where you can't even drive you will see people physically slow down
Okay.
at that spot, because if you're driving the regular speed limit, you will tear up your car.
Okay, what I'll do, I'll reach out personally to Purple Line this evening, once we're done with this meeting, and I'll also send crews from the Laurel shop out there tomorrow. And I'm glad you advised of this, because I mean, if we're not contacted a lot of times with the Purple Line stuff, we assume that they're taking care of it. I'll send crews out there to see if they can mitigate any of the issues themselves tomorrow until we can get Purple Line out to do a more permanent or semi-permanent repair for whatever they got going on out there.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate that. And then I know earlier we were talking about cutting and cleaning certain state roads, and I would say Annapolis Road is another one that I get a number of complaints about.
Okay.
Going from MLK all the way down past Veterans Parkway. But especially at that intersection where you come off the Beltway there on Annapolis Road off of 495.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just, yeah, if we can get that looked into, I mean, it's a little out of control over there.
Yes, ma'am. Spare me 1 second. I'm trying to write all the notes down as we go. Okay, I definitely got all that. I will follow up with you on everything that we just discussed. Regarding Central Avenue, I will let Winton discuss that. He sounds eager to, so I will hand the floor over to you. But I do want to, the second question I think that was raised is we do have a customer care management system. Delegate Austin, that is exactly for what you were requesting regarding notifying us and then having a tracking system to be able to follow through with what's going on. The way that works is either they can call in and our shop personnel will enter that into the customer care management system and provide them with the service request number, or you can do it online. I think we did provide the link to that last meeting. I'll try to get that in the notes here if I can copy and paste that out of an email somewhere. before this meeting's over, but it is off of our website, SHA's website, that they can go through and put a service request in, and they can track the progress of that as we go. All right, Winton.
Okay, coming back to the 214, can you ask that question again about the 214 corridor?
Yeah, so from the Beltway down to the DC line, I get a lot of complaints that it's not being cut or maintained. The grass level is high. People put their political signs in the high grass and weeds. The trash is not being picked up. It's hard to walk on the sidewalks because the weeds are overgrowing. So I think one of my civic leaders posted a question if there's a cutting and cleaning schedule, just if they could know what it is. And yeah, what the status is.
Okay, Mr. Austin, like I said, that's my shop and my area, and I live in the area, so I'm gonna make sure that I stay on top of it. But I can't do no favors for myself, and we have a cycle of 3 to 4 weeks. But I know for a fact, I was speaking with Justin today, whereas though I had a council person contact me and yesterday, and I had them out there today in that 301 214 corridor, and now going up. They have been on 214, cutting the grass and cutting back. And like Justin said, we sent someone out in front of the crew to pick trash up. Senator Benson stays on my back. She calls me 8, 10 o'clock in the morning, in the evening, I'm sorry, and tell Winton, my constituents are calling me and this and that. And I have people out there within the next day or two, because I can't do favors for no one, but we have been on top of that because I know she's been on top of us. She's been in the office talking to Justin and his boss in reference to the areas of 214, 202, and like that. But we have been out there. If you've been out there, you know that the mediums were cut, and we've been working on the shoulders to cut it back. We can only cut it back for so much as of right now because we're trying to do so much work for you all, constituents, to make it where though it's visible, but of the work that we're doing, but we will be able to get a chance to cut back more. But as far as walking on the concrete on the walkways, we have been cutting it back on both sides. And if you notice, the mediums have been cut, picked up, and we're working on the shoulders. And like Justin was saying, by us spreading ourselves out so that we can make things better for you all today, that it's not taking we're not moving fast enough for you all, evidently. I hate to say it like that, but we are out spreading our wings so that we can try to hit every area as much as possible. But we have been out on 214, because like I said, I do live on 214, so I have been making sure that they have been taking care of all the roads. And Justin would testify that I did, after the meeting that we had last month, I did go back to my people and tell them what went on in this meeting and how we've been downgraded to where we used to be the #1 shop, how we've been downgraded. And they have picked up their boots and started working a whole lot harder. And I hope that you all have seen what they have been out there doing. And like during the day, you might be at work and all, but we've been out there during the day, and you're seeing the equipment out there at hard at work and people out there picking trash up. So we have been on 214 for sure. I know that we have been doing it for sure, along with all the other roads.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And I have noticed an improvement since the campaign trail started, because I got a lot more complaints, and I was there recently and I did notice an improvement, but we're still getting the calls. So I definitely appreciate all the hard work you all are doing. Maybe during, not during this call, but once we're done with cutting season, maybe we need to look at some better planning mechanisms that don't require as much cutting, maybe bioretention areas or something else to go in those median strips and on the sidewalk so that it doesn't require as much cutting throughout the year. But I'll reach out to you offline. Thank you so much.
Okay. Ms.
Is there
Austin,
somebody
got-
tracking this chat line? Looking at the questions in the chat line, is there anybody on this as an administrator looking at the chat line?
Yep, Mr. Robinson,
I'm reading
there's we have everything captured in the chat line, and we're going to address all of those after we got 2 more people to speak. We have Delegate-elect Kim Taylor and then Delegate-elect Jamila Woods. So I'm going to let Kim come in and address some of the issues in her district, and then the same thing with Delegate-elect Jamila Woods, and then we'll go through and open it up to the public and then have the discussion about what's happening in the chat as well. That fair,
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
All right, are you pivoting to me?
It's on you, Kim.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's on you, Kim.
Okay, great. Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the time. And thank you, the representatives from MDOT. You already answered a lot of my questions. 301 is one of the largest and longest state highway controlled thoroughfares in my district. And I saw that on your list a lot. There is one area that I want you to pay attention to, is right near Trumps Hill Road in Upper Marlboro. As I was walking, knocking on doors, there were a lot of complaints about litter and trash along the roads over there. But there's a couple of new developments down there, and they aren't cleaning up. And I don't know if it's the workers or what, but there's a lot of trash collecting down there. There's a stop sign on 301 that allows folks to make a right turn. I mean, that folks sometimes use as a right turn to come down into a shopping center near Marlton. And I think we should talk offline about that, because literally you're not supposed to make that right. You shouldn't enter at all. But it's somewhat confusing. And the seniors in the lodge at Marlton have been complaining about that particular do not enter sign and stop sign on the other side. So if there's some way we can talk offline to see if we can have more clear signage in that area, that'd be great. I think that's it. I have noticed the difference. There are, a question is, if there's an area where there's a sidewalk and people are using that sidewalk, to walk and exercise, the sides may be cut, but they're trees that overhang. And if you're less than 4 feet tall, that works, you can walk and, get under them. But for some of those trees that are, I wonder if that's in your purview as well, to cut back the trees, which would allow folks to actually walk on the sidewalks that you've you've cut the lawns, you've cut the grass, but is the overhang of the trees also within your responsibility? So I'll let you guys answer that, and I'd like to hear what others on the call have to say.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, I'm gonna answer that part. We're so busy right now working on the grounds. When it comes to the overhead hanging, yes, we have tree contractors, but right now we have the tree contractors working on the fairways where though we have bigger trees that's basically that's hanging out on the roads, because we could go into the winter season. So by us going in the winter season, we have to get those cut back, because like we've been having a lot of trees to grow over the guardrails and grow over onto the roads, because when we come time for us to plow the snow, we still have to plow the shoulders. So our tree company is out doing the major work, which would be the bigger trees that we have to take care of to maintain the roads when it comes time for the snow. Now, when it comes to what you're saying, that wouldn't be priority as of right now, but we will go back to it. But like it was said, you can go to our CCMS and say exactly where it's located and what the issue is, and then they will be notified, our team leaders, and our team leaders will go out and take care of it. But like I said, as of right now, we have to worry about going into the winter seasons and the bigger trees that we have to worry about, because we don't want this to go on during the winter time. And y'all say the roads are backed up, nobody's pushing because the trees are in the way. And we know that when we have bad storms, trees will fall. So we're trying to get them cut back so we won't have to deal with the falling trees when the winter comes.
And Delegate Taylor, good evening. I got notes on everything that you discussed. The one thing, talking offline about the confusing signs, I definitely am interested to hear more about that. We'll take that to our traffic division to get that situation mitigated. That is not going to be good, especially if somebody gets an accident at that intersection. So we definitely want to hear about that. To touch a little bit more on what Winton just discussed, if at any point we have a sidewalk that trees are overhanging or any vegetation is overhanging that is restricting or having any pedestrian not allowing for them to use the sidewalk, or creating some kind of safety hazard where they have to go off the sidewalk, please let us know. That is something that we will immediately take care of. I think what Winton was discussing was more of our maintenance schedule about where we're at right now, specifically with the year and what we're trying to accomplish. That is, I mean, most of our brush and tree cutting is definitely a winter activity that we go through once the vegetation has died off, and it's a lot easier to cut some of this brush with the vines and the poison ivy and things like that to access it. However, if there's any safety concerns with pedestrians using the sidewalk, this goes for everybody. Please either contact the shop, contact me directly, contact Winton directly, or use our CCMS system or contact the shops. And that's something that will be immediately addressed. The last thing we want is anybody walking in the road because there's vegetation overgrowing the sidewalk, creating a safety hazard. We're big on Vision Zero and trying to limit the fatalities on all Prince George's County roads. That's something that our district is very heavily bought into, supports, and believes in. So that's one aspect of that. So please let us know if you hear anything or see anything. We also have crews that will be checking for that. Specifically, now as you brought it up, not only do they check for it every day, but a little bit more emphasis on making sure we're watching for that. So I appreciate you bringing that up to our attention.
Thank you.
All right, is Jamila? There she is.
Hey, good evening, good evening. Thank you, Delegate Charles. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to kind of pose a thought. Given the challenges, the barriers that were articulated with regard to staffing and contracting and so on and so forth, have you thought about programs whereby perhaps we can somehow incentivize other organizations, some of the schools, to help with the litter pickup and in anticipation of the cutting of the grass, or horticultural organizations? Are there some things that perhaps we can do to partner with other organizations that can assist, that you can incentivize, so that we can kind of not constantly be in this crisis mode of, the litter and the overgrown grass, et cetera?
Yes, ma'am. We do have the Adopt a Highway program. That's something kind of similar to what your question relates to. And we also have a program that Winton's actually working on. And this is something I've wholeheartedly believe in, and I'm actually trying to assist with them, is to get in touch with some of the schools and try to get some kind of mentorship or a program in place to where not only are they helping us do things like that, for example, for the community service hours, but also kind of building a pipeline to provide some of these individuals and some of these students with a job as soon as they get out of high school. That's something he believes in. That's something I believe in. I think it would help our community as well as better represent the community once we can hire individuals that live within the areas that they work. So yes, those things are being thought of. It's kind of unfortunately, the second priority of everything that we're kind of working on right now, because we're trying to get everything back to where we need to be and concentrating on, providing services as well as the safety. And then we're getting into winter as well. So there's definitely things that are being discussed. A lot of kudos to Mr. Johnson for having that idea. and as myself representing management of SHA and Mr. Johnson representing ASME, the union for the state workers, I mean, we're going in that direction. So yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, all right. So we're now going to open this up to the general public so everybody can have a portion to say anything. I'm going to ask that if you have a question, please use the hand raising function. That way we're able to capture everybody as they go. There was a phone number who put a question out earlier, and I told them they'll be able to go first since they had to try to ask a question ahead of time. And then after we get that, we'll go through the chats.
Yeah, it was iPhone 202445. If they wanted to go first.
Okay.
That was me. Thanks for allowing me to be able to speak, and I do apologize for prematurely asking a question and raising my hand. I would like to say thank you for the work that is being done, but I just have a couple of comments as we go through this. Number one is I'm concerned with how we have the statement of work with respect to what the grass cutting units are supposed to be able to do. The statement of work and statement of requirements with respect to the contracts, meaning when I look at the grass being cut, is there a plan to like edge the weeds as well as pick up the litter? When I look at 301 Branch Avenue, Route 5, I see that, yeah, the grass has been cut very well, but when I look at the sides, there's still shrubbery and so forth being done. And I don't know if the main effort right now is just to get the grass cut. But when I look at the statement of work and statement of requirements with respect to the contract, is that in fact a part of the contract? Second, when I look at the exiting on Woodyard Road, primarily, I'm looking at the perspective of danger from the left. You can't see the turns coming in off of the exit when you take the Woodyard Road exit off of Route 5 that goes to the Lowe's. When you look to the left, there's high growth, and it's kind of dangerous because you can't see the cars coming from the other side. And as I go down Woodyard Road, I still see grass and so forth being cut. On a discussion I heard, that was also a problem. Number three, and this is my final point, is when I look at private businesses that have property, are they fined for their properties not being maintained with respect to maintaining the yard, maintaining the painting, and the infrastructure of their particular property that is in fact personal property that they own? Oh, and that's my final comment. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm going to try to, you just said a lot of things and I'm going to try to answer them in turn. So if I miss something or you need to correct me, please let me know. The first one regarding the contract specifications. So yes, mowing, trimming, and litter removal is all within the contract specifications. The trimming would be around the guardrails and around like signposts and things of that nature. The mowing is actually two different specifications. One is a final mow, which is actually going to cut back a lot further off the roadway on the right shoulders as well as the entire median. But the main mow that we do throughout the year is just as an example, like a 10-foot swath off the right shoulder, and then any median less than a certain footage gets a 10-foot swath on each side, with the median remaining growing in the middle as a meadow, and the other one will be a full median cut. So that might be what you're seeing right now. I know it's like certain areas of 301 will get a partial mow in the median as opposed to the full cut. Your second point on 5 and Woodyard, I will notify the shop tomorrow to let them know the site distance issues, and we'll see if we can get that addressed for you. And we'll go from there. Hopefully we can get all that taken care of. I think you specifically said the right turn or the turn off of Woodyard. Well, actually correct me of exactly the intersection you said, because I'm going to need to be able to write that down. I was trying to copy notes.
So when you take the exit off of Route 5 to Road,
Okay.
into the you keep going, and there's Wendy's, Lowe's,
Okay.
walk that area. That exit, when you, right, the bridge goes over it, there's high debris, high trees and, not trees with bushes, and it blocks the view from the left-hand side from the driver.
Gotcha. Okay. And your third point, that's going to be something that needs to be addressed to the county. That is something I believe DPI for Prince George's County would handle. We do not do any fines for we have no authority or mechanism in place to do that for anything such as like the unkept lawn or the paint needed at the business or what have you. That's 100% a Prince George's County issue, not a state of Maryland issue.
And sir, one final point, I do apologize for adding this. Sidewalks, and I know this is a funding issue in construction. I'll tell you that my neighbor, I was driving this morning with my neighbor and he was saying he almost ran over somebody, a kid walking on the sidewalk on Woodyard Road. There's a school down the street. And so what we lack on Woodyard Road, and I'm sure throughout the county, are sidewalks. And I know that's, like I said, I know it's a funding issue, but I'm looking at it from the perspective, at least by the school areas, going to that park and south of Coventry Road. Well, not Coventry, but Alexander Ferry Road on Woodyard. So that is my final point, 4 points. I do apologize.
Okay. With sidewalk, there's multiple mechanisms in place that would get a sidewalk installed. Some of them are through the county. Some of them are also through different programs that we have. I will push your request to our project development team regarding your request for sidewalk, and we can go from there. I'll try to get an update for the group on that process, hopefully by next meeting.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna now open it up to Tamara Davis Brown.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair Charles, to our delegation, Prince George's County House delegation, both current and delegate-elects, as well as MDOT representatives. Thanks for joining us and taking our calls. I had two issues that I wanted to bring to the attention. The previous gentleman mentioned a little bit about Branch Avenue. I wanted to expand on that to say we need to add Route 5 Branch Avenue, not only in the area where he mentioned, which is near where I live in Clinton off of Woodyard Road, but particularly Branch Avenue from the Naylor Road all the way to the DC line, the Naylor Road exchange through that area. There's not only a lot of grass that still needs to be cut. There was a first cut in that area, but certainly the trash was not addressed in that area. But you need to look at that entire corridor from the DC line all the way to the Charles County line where it merges in with 301 Crane Highway. And then second, although you had 210 listed as for cutting, and I think that's what actually precipitated this meeting, our neighbors complained and got the media involved for grass cutting in that area. But we also not only need litter, we also need litter control. I just saw on the spreadsheet that it just mentioned grass cutting, and the litter control is especially needed again at the DC line and the Forest Heights, the city of Forest Heights, town of Forest Heights area. And so if you could just add that to the list as well, that would be appreciated. So 210, the entire route from the DC line in Forest Heights all the way to the Charles County line. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, both noted. And also of note, Delegate Charles has been working on getting this meeting together. I think the meeting happened right after the 210 stuff came out, but it was definitely planned prior to that. And Delegate Charles took the lead on having an interest in getting some of these things resolved. And him and I have actually been meeting prior to that. It was his idea to have the town hall, which I think was a great idea so we could hear from the community. So I just want to, his ideas were a little bit ahead of the 210 stuff and the media before that came out.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to open it up now to Ms. Terry Nuridan.
Hello, thank you very much. And I'd like to say good evening to all my neighbors, the ones in official capacity and the neighbors. I think this is a good direction that we're going into. I would just like to address a couple of things. As a senior in the county, I look forward to the county improving in terms of litter and what have you. And I appreciate the ideas about involving the youth. We had once suggested like an ROTC program, like Green Cadets, taken with the environmental situations that are going on to, encourage the youth to become involved in keeping the community clean and in participating. And I also think that pipeline is excellent for being able to hire Prince George's residents starting at the high schools. You have potentially Tall Oaks and a lot of high schools where folks will need to transition to an occupation. The same thing with our foster care children that come out that don't go to college. So there's a wealth, I believe, of youth that can be made available, and we can help with that. The other thing, I just had a question. I was glad to see the candidate-elect Kim Taylor. I think the Prince George's delegation being involved in this will be helpful to people like myself. The memo that came out from our county exec, the only clarification that I would like is how do the efforts overlap? I see they say they're spending money, we're spending money, and 214 is cut now. And I know some seniors, we've called in and there's a county road, there's a state road, and we can keep up with that stuff. But really, when you see litter or dumping, you just want to call in. So in terms of notifying the state and what's been discussed tonight, is there like a portal that will facilitate it for, non-tech savvy people like myself, that we can say, okay, this is going on, and whether it's county or state, that we can see something done. Those are just the two questions that I have, and how we can energize the youth. And I just like to extend my appreciation to the hard work that everybody's been doing to keep us healthy and clean. Thank you.
Ms. Terry, so 311 that's our best friend. Call 311 to put the complaint in. You can message it, and so there's an app also if you want to have that on your phone to put the complaints in to address the issues, and it'll be dispersed out appropriately if it's a county or a state road. But
okay.
Yep. But the conversation more so for the state roads are all numbered roads, and then the roads that aren't numbered are the county roads.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Delegate Charles, can I say something before you go to the next person? I looked into the chat, and this is the scenario. I was the one who put, you was there evidently, probably Delegate Charles, when I put the move over law back onto the floor, because of the fact that they put the move over law for just the police and fire departments and tow trucks, and not the state workers, county workers that works on the highway and the roads. So we got it passed, and Governor Hogan signed it the same day he signed it, and I was down there when he signed it. We had a fatality on 295 right by the harbor. Okay, so we are working with trying to get youth out there, but we have to be safe about it. And I seen in the chat that someone was saying that it's a school that they want, but you still have to go through Justin with that, because it's laws that we have to go by. And when it comes to adopt the highway, we had to release some of the adopt the highway people because of the fact that the speed limits, and if it's over 55 miles or 50 or 55 miles, Jessica can tell you more about it. We can't have no one out there because of the fact they have to have crash continuator, which would be the machine that you see with on the back of a truck, that if a car hit it, it would hit that, and that hit the people, because it would follow the people that's walking, and you all would not have that access, and we wouldn't be able to give it to you because we need it for when we out there on the highways and the roads. So before we really reach out and jump out there and say that we want this school to help or this school to help or it's ROTC, you have to reach out to Justin, and then he can go over everything that's needed for the area that you're speaking of, and if it can be done, if it can't be done, because we still have to think about safety first. because we still have a lot of fatalities that goes on and accidents that goes on with my employees. I'm saying me as a whole and my membership. We have a lot of fatalities and people getting hit by pedestrians, and we don't want to happen to no kids, nevertheless, no other people outside of us. Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to open this up to our NAACP president, Ms. Linda Thornton Thomas.
Okay, thank you so much and greetings, everyone. I want to ditto with Tamara Brown. We're going to be talking about a couple of the same things. 210 is a problem. I've had a number of individuals who called us, but my question is, I'm a little concerned about the flyovers. I know the next site is Palmer Road. Mr. Johnson, is that under your direction? Would you be handling that particular issue? No.
That's above my pay grade. That would be
Oh,
Justin,
okay.
but it's in my area. And I know
Okay.
one of the reasons why they're doing the flyovers, and Justin can follow up on it, is because of the speed racing that's going on 210. Y'all know that's the in the state of Maryland, that's the most high fatalities that we have in the state of Maryland. So they're doing that to try to slow down the traffic, because we tried everything possible for us putting cameras, stop sign, more lights, everything, and that wasn't working. So they're doing the flyovers for that reason. But Justin can definitely talk about what's going on in 210, because that's in his pay grade.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, what, can you elaborate a little bit more on?
Well, I know we're doing flyovers, and I know that they're sharing that the next spot would be Palmer Road in that area. That's I'm just wondering if that's still on the table.
Okay, that's gonna be out of the maintenance realm. I would definitely get an answer for you.
Okay.
I'll inquire with our construction and our project development teams, and I will follow up with you on that.
Okay, great. And also, I do want to say that the NAACP has a Go Green project, and we were trying to assist you with the pickup, the trash, and so forth. And so, Mr. Johnson, I will contact you because we wanted to use young people as well, and we want to be safe. So I will connect with you if I can get your information. And I do want to thank Delegate Charles for inviting us, and we have been trying so hard and complaining all the time about the trash. He was so thorough, and I just want to thank you for inviting me, and we're going to do a good job. We're going to also adopt a few highways, all right? So thank you.
I'm gonna put my information in the chat. I will put my work number along with my cell. And if it's something that's out of something that I can't handle, I will definitely direct it to my boss, which is on the other line, Justin. So I will put my information in chat for you, okay?
All right, thank you. I'm now going to open it up to She.
Hello, this is Shay Newman.
Shay. Hey.
Delegate Charles, one thing I would like to put on your plate is for us to get a status of the Suitland Parkway and Presidential Parkway and Pennsylvania Avenue interchange. We had a meeting back in 2017, and they started mobilizing like the next 3 days. And they stopped. We have girders that are sitting out here that's been out here for over 2 years because we've been in a pandemic. So it's been longer than that. Nobody paid $5, $4, $6, $7, $800,000 for a house to look at steel girders all day when they come home. The young lady did say something about the status update in the chat. This project has been going on since 2008. There's been off and on. It's like, where is the money? Is the money still there to build the project? We had numerous design changes. We've had numerous project managers. And even now it gets to the point where they're talking about a gas line. Andrews didn't appear yesterday. So you're now saying that you have problems with utilities. We need some answers about this interchange, because I think the interchange is part of the comprehensive site design plan. It actually was supposed to be open, I think, around the 1,000th permit for the Smith Home Farm community, which we're way past that. So what are we doing about, either you're going to build it or you're not, but you can't continue to let our community look the way it does, because they're not fixing anything. The light poles are broken sometimes, and they just let it look like a litter pit until they get this project off the ground. So can you put that on your radar and push SHA? Because every time we turn around, we get a new project manager, then it's starting all over again. Then they had to fire the contractor. That project is a mess.
Yeah, Shay, I agree. And when that project really kicks off, I do have concerns of the traffic pattern and how it's really going. It's already bad traffic coming up Pennsylvania Avenue dealing with that. So it's going to be a lot worse once it kicks off. But Justin and I started having some conversations last month about that. Justin, can you go into detail about the Suitland Parkway, Pennsylvania Avenue interchange project?
Yeah, I can. You pretty much just hit it, the nail on the head. It was, and I can read directly from this, and then I have a suggestion for next meeting. But so the advertised project was advertised in 2016. The contractor was awarded the project. Because of conflicts with utility relocations and the sequence of construction, the construction contract was terminated in August of 2020 to avoid escalating construction costs and to address constructability issues. MDOT SHA has reevaluated the interchange option using traffic volumes with a design year of 2045 for traffic projections. The project will now consist of a diamond interchange with a 2-lane flyover from northbound Maryland 4 to westbound Suitland Parkway. Go through all that. It's been re-advertised as a construction management at risk alternative project delivery method. The previous contract suffered delays resulting from unanticipated utility conflicts and a complex sequence of construction. By employing this alternative project delivery method, MDOT SHA expects to minimize further delays by optimizing the construction sequence with early input from the selected CMAR contractor during the design phase of the project. Pretty much what all this means is it's pretty much reset to zero, and we are in the early stages of getting the project back up and running. My suggestion to the entire group, because this is definitely not a maintenance way, I mean, this is well outside of my expertise. It's not something that maintenance deals with. I would actually suggest at the next meeting, I'm going to try to get a representative from our Office of Highway Development to come on the meeting who can actually answer any questions that you have and explain what everything I just read to you actually means, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, and thank you. And the other thing that they need to look at, if they have the flyover, then they need to look at the traffic backing up at Forestville Road under the Beltway. So
Yes,
you're going to have all this traffic just flowing, and then you're going to possibly have a backup at Forestville Road. So they need to look at to make sure that whatever they choose, it's going to be better than what we got now.
Understood. Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to open it up to Ms. Hawkins.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to thank Delegate Charles, Justin Sosby, and Winston Johnson for following up on all of our concerns from the August meeting. Really appreciate it, and we do see improvements going on. I do still, as Delegate Austin said, have concerns about weeds growing out of concrete. As bad as the litter looks, that looks just as bad to me. Sometimes the weeds are 3-4 feet tall and they're just growing out of the concrete medians along 495. I see it down at 214 and Ritchie Road. I know I have sent pictures to County Exec Alsobrooks office and maybe to your office as well, Justin, I'm not sure, of that one spot where the weeds are just growing out of the concrete. Also, Justin, I understood you, I understand why you're saying you all are gonna do the overgrown brush as the winter season begins. But as someone said earlier, some of that overgrown brush is a highway hazard because we can't see as we're exiting onto the main highway around those exit ramps. So it's a problem now. I'm not sure if it can wait until the colder weather to take care of it. Mr. Winston, there is, I know we see the mowing on 214. It looks beautiful. We thank you, thank you, thank you. But the last time I complained about the ramp off of 214 onto 301, is that ramp that goes around and you have to merge off to the right. It still looks just as bad as it did back at the August meeting. It looks like it was a flooded area and all the debris just settled along the edges and it's still there. So it needs like some type of sweeper to go on both sides of that ramp and get up all of the debris that's on there. And Justin, you might need to remind everybody how much litter you say is picked up in Prince George's County each month. And it's embarrassing. I hate to say it, but you might need to remind us because there may be some people on this meeting that were not on the last one. And once again, I just thank you all very much for everything that you're doing to make Prince George's County look gorgeous again. Thank you.
Delegate Charles, I don't know the young lady's name, but I thank you, but that was the ramp that you're speaking of is the ramp that I did break my neck to get someone out there this morning to take care of because your council person reached out to me yesterday.
Yes.
And I told them that I would get someone out to pick the trash up. Now, when it comes to that, we will have to shut that whole ramp off to get to what you want to be done, right?
Okay.
Because that comes underneath of scraping the curbs and all, right? So like I said before, in the last meeting, I'm saying it again in this meeting, with the staffing that we have and all the expectations that you are looking for, we're busting our behind to try to get it taken care of. As you see today, that you all have knows that we've been doing a lot of work to make this a more pleasant than what it was last time meeting. And I did say the last time, we can't make it, I can say it, Justin can't say it, we can't make it look like a golf course. But we can try our best to get it cut, get it maintained, and get it more beautified than what it was at first. Now, what you're saying as far as with the weeds that's growing out, okay? This is the ideal time that we have our people, we have sprayers to go out and spray the weeds. This is the time because when during the summertime, we had too many hot days and they can't spray for the weeds, the chemicals in a real hot environment and the time frame. So now they are going out, they're spraying the weeds. You'll be noticing them dying down, you know, in the days, weeks, or whatever to come, because they are out spraying now. And because of it, so many that you said, like I know for 214 for a fact at the Richie Marlboro Road, and we had some up going towards the Lago area, the same thing. So they are going out on all, don't think it's just 214 because I live there. It's all the other roads. We are sending the spray companies out so they can spray the weeds and have them come, then they start dying off because, like I said, the temperature was like in the high 80s, 90s. They cannot spray the chemicals in that type of weather. So you will be noticing those being sprayed, and the SHA people will be coming behind them to either weed eat them down or knock them down. Okay.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Ms. Hawkins, to touch on what he said, first, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you. The weeds in the concrete have already actually on 214 and 202 specifically have been sprayed. And everybody should notice that they're actually dying off, but there will be a crew that's already started and they'll continue going through the concrete areas to trim those areas that have been sprayed. They've also sprayed behind the guardrails to kill some of the weeds and stuff behind there. They'll be also trimming those. The brush you brought up, I want to make sure there's no confusion because I know I did speak of the main time that we're cutting a lot of brush and tree is in the wintertime. But this ties into kind of the sidewalk question that occurred earlier. If there's anything that's creating a sight distance issue or any other kind of issue related to safety, that's something that we immediately address once we've been made aware of it. So please don't think that we're if there's a sight distance issue where you can't see to make a turn out of a road or coming around a ramp or what have you, that's something that we'll address immediately. The best way to notify us if you found one of those areas is to go through our CCMS system or to contact myself or Winton or one of the shops directly. And actually, earlier when we discussed the CCMS and I brought up the link, our Winstina Hughes, who is our community and government customer relations manager, actually dropped the link in the chat just so everybody's aware that that's in there for everybody's use for the customer care management system. When it comes to the concrete stuff, we are addressing that. Like I said, it has been sprayed. A lot of the stuff that is on the sidewalks or in between the joints of the sidewalks, just realize that Prince George's County or municipality maintains sidewalks. So if your concerns are regarding sidewalks specifically, that should go to the municipality that you're living in or the county directly. There's a handful of roads, state roads within Prince George's County that the state maintains the sidewalks within. And I mean, I can let you know that list or provide that list for you at the next meeting. But the vast majority of that is not going to be handled by the State Highway Administration. The rest of the concrete would be our responsibility. So we're working on getting that addressed. And I know that the roads that he specifically started on was 214, 202, Martin Luther King, and I believe Silver Hill Road is where they began the spraying operations.
And the amount of litter, Justin, please.
The amount of litter, I mean, it's the same story. We're working on that. The amount of litter, the quantity that we're picking up, I mean, hundreds of thousands every month. I mean, we have large dumpsters brought in and out every single day at both shops, both Laurel and Upper Marlboro. So it's not from a lack of picking up the litter. We spend a significant amount of money every year that could be dedicated to other things that I think everyone on this call would love to see, whether that's, repaving or patching roadways, whether that's towards Vision Zero or better signs or pavement markings or what have you. I mean, that's money that we're, throwing away towards picking up litter. Unfortunately, that could be dedicated to a lot of other things to make, the aesthetics as well as the rideability and the safety of the roads better. So, I appreciate you bringing that up. And as always, it's a pleasure talking to you, Ms. Hawkins.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, I'm going to open it up to Mike. Thank you, brother.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, neighbors, and thank you, Delegate Charles and House delegation. One portion that was not addressed that we did talk about the last meeting was the law enforcement piece, the enforcement piece. Has anyone contacted Prince George's County Police or any representatives from the police department? Because I would like to get their input on what they can do as well as far as the enforcement. If no one will come from that location, there are many towns and municipalities that have police departments such as Greenbelt, Bowie, District Heights, Seat Pleasant. They have police officers as well that could partner with Prince George's Police Department to assist us with the enforcement piece. I would like some comments from the police department as it relates to what they can do. Mr. Johnson did mention safety first. To be safe, you need those police to enforce the rules of the road. Mr. Johnson did talk about the speed limit. The police enforce the speed limit. When we have our crews out or Mr. Johnson's crews out, a police officer can assist with crowd or speed or things of that nature. So I would like to have some police comments on this issue. It's near and dear to me as a homeowner and a resident of the county. So I would like to have some police representation on our next meeting if it's going to be held in October. Thank you, sir.
Delegate Charles, is Corporal Wolf still on here?
Yep, he is.
Corporal Wolf, can you answer his question? Because I know I can help you, but you can answer it.
In reference to the enforcement part of it?
of Yeah.
Traffic or the littering?
I mean, just be frank, tell them all of it.
Enforcement and the littering, what is you all's protocol and processes as how you would address that issue?
Well, the littering part of it right now is that's, I mean, we will enforce it if it happens in front of us at the time, like if somebody drops something out the car or somebody's walking down the street. But at this point, that is probably on a back burner at this point because of all the homicides and carjackings that we're having right now. That's really the focus that we're on at this point. But the littering is also, I mean, it's part of our job duties to do that too, but that would probably have a concentrated detail that we would do. But I would run it past our commanders. I already told them the heads up about it to see what insight they would do on it. But that would probably be the only reason why you don't see the enforcement like 100% on it in reference to that is just because of the violent crimes that we're having at this point.
All
Can I
right.
speak on that part right quick? On Doug Charles. I don't know the officer's name and all, but it's a thing where as though I have been out there picking trash up, right? I've been out for 19 years. This is the thing. We be picking trash out. People will come past and throw trash out in front of us. That's very disrespectful, right?
Yes.
And I have seen being out on the road where the police have been, I'm not speaking bad about the police, but they have been riding up the roads where though cars have thrown trash out of the window and they have been right behind them. And I'm not saying they should pull them over because that's why we having the issues that we having. And we have delegates and senators that reaching out to the Senate and the House to try to find some kind of a bill that we can enforce it. But we can't enforce nothing without the help of PG County police and the township police. Like Mr. Mike said, we need to come together and work together to help us because this forum is about the work that we're not doing, but we're doing the work, but we're not getting any help from the other sources that can help us. Okay. Now, when it came to the signs, I know we did it as a joint. Also, Brooke had to do it as a joint thing, the police, State Highway, and the county people come together to snatch down all the snipe signs, which we might have to come back to do it again because I noticed that was one of the issues that they had in the meeting this evening. But you all can come and help us put out snipe signs, but you can't help us when it comes to ticketing people that's throwing trash out, and especially on the ramps. Because the last meeting, I told them the ramps is the major fairway where everyone's going to throw trash out because there's no one seeing them throwing the trash out the window as they go around that loop around it. So we need to find some kind of way of maybe your higher ups can work with the delegates and the senators of PG County so that we can have some type of we can work together to have some type of issue to resolve what's going on, and then y'all can be helping us, and we won't have to have this type of forum. Okay.
I got you. But like as the same issue that you were running into when you kept saying the amount of work that you have to do and you got the staff and we have the same issue. So the officers that you're speaking of, I wasn't in the car with them, but unless we have like I said before, unless we have a special detail that we can concentrate and on the littering part, that officer that you saw could have been responding to something else at the time. So he couldn't maybe enforce that fraction because he was responding to a variety of different incidents at that time, which would have delayed them to another call. Or it could be a variety of things. I'm not giving an excuse. I'm just giving you different point of views. But like you said, the amount of work that we have in the staffing, which I wasn't going to bring up, but just amount of work in staffing, that would be the reason. But like with the unit I'm in, if we do decide to have an enforcement day in reference to littering, that could happen that way too. Never said it couldn't happen, but that was the reason, and that's how. I mean, it just the everyday officer, they're responding to different stuff. So yeah, but once we get together and have we can concentrate or work together on that, yeah, that can be done. But I was not trying to give out excuses. I was just giving out different reasons why it wasn't being looked at the time.
Right, and
All
Delegate
right,
Charles to
thank
help
you.
Corporal will put out my chin at District 3 and 8 coffee circle. I do know we're short, you guys, all over the county police officers. But what I do want to say is I think a good idea and a suggestion that was brought up is for you guys to partnership with our elected leaders, because we have to come up with another way. Even if citizens or we have more cameras up and citizens can take pictures, because I see people throwing lit out in front of me also, and we're able to take videos and pictures and send it in and be enforced that way. We need some type of law that say sometime that just because the officers may not have caught it right then and there, but if we can prove or show a video or clip that car did something, it can be sent to them to say, hey, you were caught doing this, and we're going to give you this warning this time. If you're caught again, we'll give you a fine.
All right, thank you, Queen, Miss Queen. Did you have any other comments?
Yeah, so my comments, and I don't know if I missed it earlier, I do apologize. You guys know I'm recovering from surgery, but about 201 and Kenilworth Avenue, 201-50 State Highway, we really got to do something about that. All the litter when you coming up, coming back to Kenilworth, or even when you're going down 201-50, it is constant trash and litter in that area. We have to do better with cleaning up that area. So I did while I was on here and went to the chat and I saw it was something you can fill out. And I just did it as I had already raised my hand up. But we really need to get that cleaned up constantly. It's something that really it have to be a constant cleanup in that area. But thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Queen. I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's the Laurel Shops area, and I'll reach out to their management tomorrow, as well as make sure they're aware of your service request. But I agree. I mean, 201 and 50, I mean, constant issue, especially with the commercial areas around there. A lot of legal dumping goes on in that area as well. So we'll make sure we address that.
Thank you, Justin.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Charles. That's it.
All right. Okay, so now we're gonna go over to Reverend Richardson, Democratic Central Committee member. Reverend Richardson.
Good evening, Delegate Charles, to all of the guests, other elected officials is present. This is something that I brought up in the last meeting and in the past year to 2 years. I mentioned a litter campaign that South Carolina or North Carolina has in place. The state roads are extremely clean because they have legislation in place. They have a partnership with the state police and with their motor vehicle administration. So when anyone sees someone litter and they document it and send in pictures or call, they have an app, they have a number to call, they have an email. So they have legislation in place that what they do if on the first incident is they send out notification. The motor vehicles administration is notified. They send out a notification letting the person know that they were seen and what the law is. And on the second infraction, there's a fine. A third infraction, there's a fine, leading up to suspension of their license. So therefore, this can be done here. We need our elected officials to get on board and propose and introduce this legislation and move it forward on the county level and the state level. Secondly, when it comes to, I want to get some clarification from Maryland Department of Transportation and State Highway Administration as it relates to sidewalks during inclement weather. Now, I used to work for the Department of Public Works and Transportation. I was a snow route inspector for 2.5 years. So so you got the state maintained roads and you have county maintained roads. Who's responsible for, I know when I worked for DPW&T, we cleaned the sidewalks off where the bus stops were and the shelters. So, for example, on Pennsylvania Avenue, the long stretch of sidewalk and hiker biker trail. When it snow and it ices, who's responsible for cleaning that, treating the sidewalk and the hiker biker trail, because it's not owned by a homeowner. And I really don't want to see any of our citizens having to walk on the highway and the roadway. That's why we fought so hard to get that whole stretch from Sylvia Hill Road to Fordsville Road done for the safety of the pedestrians and motorists. So can one of you please respond to that? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Reverend Richardson. So the Prince George's County, it's either going to be the municipality, DPW itself, or like you mentioned, the business owner or homeowner or property owner in front of the sidewalk. The only sidewalks that SHA maintains during a winter event would be sidewalks that go over one of our bridge overpasses or one of our bridges in general. Those are the sidewalks that we'll maintain, and anything in front of our properties that we own, we address as well.
Thank you. So in question, Maryland 4, the long stretch from Sylvia Hill Road to Fordsville Road, who's responsible for cleaning that when you have ice and snow on? Because it's not abutting anyone's property. There's you have businesses when you come down to Fordsville Mall, but the long stretch from Fordsville Road to Donnell Drive, and then you have the long stretch from Walters Lane down to Sylvia Hill Road.
Reverend Richardson, you
Yes.
know, my house looks on the back of that on Pennsylvania Avenue, and so from my understanding, what I've seen is they've been out there. You know, they cut the grass right there, and then they're supposed to clean the road. So in my opinion, I think MDOT District 3 is responsible for that stretch of sidewalk, since they're cutting the grass that goes up against the fence line, and then they're also cleaning the roads in between. So
I know it's their responsibility, but I want to make sure we get clarification on this meeting, because I've seen it during inclement weather. It's iced. So I don't want to see it iced up this year.
We don't maintain sidewalks in Prince George's County. It's a state law.
Even on a state maintained roads.
Yes, sir,
The
absolutely.
sidewalks that abut the state maintained roads.
100%. Yes, sir.
All right. So Mr. Johnson, then does it go over to the Department of Public Works and Transportation? If they don't do it, somebody got to do it.
Well, Justin just told you who you had to reach out to is municipalities and all, because this is the thing, we the first ones, we like the military, we the Marines, we the first one that goes to action, because the county came on the news and told you they won't send their trucks out until state highway clean off the state roads. So we're so busy cleaning off our state roads, we don't have the manpower, nevertheless, anybody that we can put on there. And like Justin said, it's against the law for us to try to work on them. So he just said it had to be a municipality or homeowners or whatever they'll be able to maintain that. We can't do that unless it's on that's like the bridges is crossing over the overpass, but we can't do it. We can't do those roads.
So Nick, Delegate Charles, I mean, your HOA got to clean off that sidewalk.
listen, we will.
I'm just saying, man. You know, they passing it around, so you know, I want to help you out.
So Rev, we will address that in terms of there's obviously different pieces of legislation that's going to come out of these discussions that we're having. There's going to be some changes in terms of how we deal with this budget, because as I've laid out already, the disparity in how much money we're getting for the District 3 Upper Marlboro shop in comparison to everybody else. We're getting the short end of the stick on this side in terms of financial resources and in terms of the FTEs, the full-time equivalent, or the staff that they have in comparison to all the other portions of the District 3 shops. So this is something we're going to have to address. As you're aware, Reverend Richardson, and for everybody else who may not be aware, we don't go into session until January. And so we won't be able to put any legislation in until then. But that is something that we're going to have to take under consideration. Every single issue that we're hearing today, we're going to figure out ways to come up with policy that will turn a lot of these problems and these suggestions into actual things that we see coming to fruition. But if you're done, Reverend Richardson, I'm going to go on because we got 2 more people and I don't want to keep us on past 9.
I'm finished.
We got Miss Brenda, and then after Miss Brenda, we have Miss Butler.
Good evening. First of all, I want to say thank you to Delegate Charles. He's been a listening board for me and my community. I live in District Heights, Forestville, and I just want to know, first of all, who is responsible for maintaining Marlboro Pike, say from Silver Hill Road up until Forestville Road? Because I have used 311. I have used 311 to voice potholes, you name it. There's a pothole on Marlboro Pike and Donnell Road that's been there like forever. And at one point, I felt like the community I lived in was forgotten. I pay taxes like anybody else's community. So why shouldn't I get what everybody else gets? That's the way I feel. Now, in my community, I do, because it takes a village. I try to get my neighbors, and that's one solution, to neighbors to get together, and because PG County can't do it all. They can't do it all. So sometimes the neighbors have to get together in the neighborhood, you know, to make sure things are done. But if you tell me who I need to contact, believe me, I'll contact, because I took a picture of a pothole today, and somebody needs to be accountable. Because I've sent in 311, I don't know how many times. I sent it in one time, and the next day, whoever was responsible, they took it off. They sent me an email. It was solved. But this is not what this meeting is for. But that's an issue with that. And on that same stretch, I've been here for 15 years. Somebody's going to get hurt at Longfield Elementary. For those kids, there's got to be some kids crossing Marlboro Pike. And I have gone to 311. I've gone to who's ever responsible in my county, because the cars are driving up May Green, Lakehurst, like they're out on the expressway. And so I guess it's going to have to take for somebody to get hurt before somebody does something. Now, there are what you call those, I don't know what the name for them. There are flashing signs. There are some other cameras there. I'll see them for a while, and then it seems like maybe they get the message, and then it goes back to where it was before. Now, on my last call to 311, I told them they could put a camera in front of my house if they need to get somebody, because it's just ridiculous the way they drive in the community. And I guess maybe I'm the only one's concerned. Maybe because I'm a former registered nurse that I'm concerned about a child getting hurt or somebody else getting hurt in the car, because there's been accidents. So if you just tell me who I need to call or who I need to email, I would appreciate it. And again, to the other 2 young men, I thank you, because I know I work for the county. And sometimes those are thankless jobs, because sometimes people don't always appreciate you. And I just want to say, I thank you. I thank you. And I thank you, Delegate Charles, because you really inspired me to be a better citizen. And because I had just given up. He had given me a couple of things, and I said, oh, somebody really care about a citizen in Prince George's County.
Okay, can I answer that, Delegate Charles? Delegate Charles has said something, and then Reverend Richardson just put it in the chat. That road is not a state road, it's a county road. Okay, any road that has a number, I said at the last meeting, if you wasn't in it, like Central Avenue 214, Martin Luther King 202, and all, you know, I mean 704, and then we have 202 and stuff like that. That's not our road.
I
Okay?
understand that, sir.
And when you call 311, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but when
That's
you call
okay.
311, I have worked the front office. They send you directly to Marlboro shop. And when I talk to the constituents to call in, the customers to call in, I tell them what you have to let them know. You have to go into depth, because the first thing they'll do is gonna push it all straight to State Highway, which would be my shop, the Marlboro shop. And I tell them to explain to them exactly where it is, because the first thing they gonna do is say, no, that's a state road. But Marlboro Pike is not our road. I'm sorry. And Reverend Richardson put it in the chat that that's not our road.
I
So
understand that, sir, but did you hear me say, if you're not responsible, tell me
Yes,
who to go
ma'am.
to? That's all I want to know.
But
Right,
it's
and
the
so
county
Delegate
road.
Charles, if you don't mind, I'm gonna put it in the chat. I'm using one hand. Just give me a
Sure.
moment.
Just tell me
So
who I need
when
to
I
go
have
to.
issues just like that, I end up going to the Director Davis of Community Relations. I go to Assistant Courtney, and they address it, they handle it, and they send me the issue back. So I'm gonna type their information in the chat. Just give
Okay,
me a
I
moment. Okay.
appreciate that.
Okay.
My last comment, now maybe I'm telling my age. When I grew up, there was trash cans. There was trash cans. So maybe if trash cans are put maybe by the bus stop, you know, if that person walking down the road, maybe they might decide to put it in a trash can. Now, the only other reason I could think that you don't want trash cans, because kids do set them afire. But I don't see no trash cans. So somebody walking down, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna ditch you.
When it comes to the trash cans at the bus stops, I hate to say it, the ones I can give you Central Avenue for a fact. The ones that would be there going towards Six Flags, they had trash cans there and they let them overflow, and it's supposed to be them, Metro, who come to pick them up. They don't pick them up because you as customers and calling us
we
and
don't
saying,
call
well, why
enough.
you all don't pick them up? We stop picking them up when we see them overflowing, because it's going to be litter blowing all over the place and we have to pick them up. So
Okay.
the
No,
trash
that was
can
just a suggestion,
is
sir.
maintained by,
It was just a suggestion, that's all.
right. But
Because
they
I haven't
maintained
seen
by
no
wherever
trash
they
cans on
located at.
Marlboro Pike. I know that's not your division, but I'm just making a comment. That's all I'm doing.
Yes,
Making a
ma'am.
Ms. Brenda, one of the things it's outside of the realm of this discussion, which is specific to
I
the
know, and
state
I don't
road.
want to take up
Oh,
no
no,
more of
no.
your time. I just want to get the right person to get to.
No, and I'll bring you in the loop on, we have a Marlboro Pike partnership that just got started that's going to be addressing a lot
Okay.
of issues going up and down Marlboro Pike specifically. So we got DPI, DPWT, Vision Zero.
Okay, if you would
we
keep me
have-
involved, I appreciate it.
Yep. So I'll add you that. You know, I got my hand in a lot of different pies.
No, I understand perfectly. Thank you so very much.
I'll get you into that discussion and part of that work group.
Okay.
But I'm going to open it up to Ms. Butler and then Mr. Bettis. We're going to close off, walk through any actions that Becca has captured, and then we'll close this meeting out because it's almost 9 o'clock.
Okay, I live in Clinton, Maryland, and there are times that we feel like we're the stepchildren in Clinton, Maryland, because we do not see them handling. I know Woodyard Road is a state road and we have called and reported, but somehow or another they have allowed all these fast food places to constantly come into the Clinton area, and that's where a lot of the trash is coming from. But when you come off of Woodyard Road onto Coventry Way, I mean, it is just so embarrassing. When you come off of Woodyard onto Allentown Road, I'm thinking about all these people going to the base and they're having to go through all that trash. The ramp that goes from Woodyard Road going south, but nobody ever want to address the situation in our Clinton area and Woodyard Road. Woodyard, mainly from Rosaryville Road all the way down to Old Branch Avenue. Sometimes it's just so embarrassing. You don't even want people to see it. So just like the lady was saying there, I have called and they have given me the number to call the state, but I would just like to see more done so that we won't feel like we're the stepchildren down in Clinton.
Ms. Butler, I will give you the direct number to the shop if you have any issues in reference to that. And like we said, the CCMSs, we do collect them every day, and we distribute them out to the team leader that has that area. So once they get it, they will get on top of it. But we do prioritize the things that we do. So I'm not gonna say that you send it in a day, you'll get it done tomorrow. It might be sometime that week or even top of the following week. But the direct number is 301-952-0555.
All right,
Or you can
thank
go
you.
into the CCMS that was posted in the chat. And that will probably work real quicker because we pull them out and because it's a customer complaint, and we will be on top of that too. So either way you go about it, we try to get on top of it for you, okay?
And what about those signs that say something about guns, if you want some type of guns there? I don't understand those signs on the street.
Those are snipe signs, and like I said a little while ago with the officer, we do pick them up, and Justin did say at the beginning of the conversation, we send people out once a week to get them, but as quick as we take them down, anybody that would tell you they put them right back up the next day.
Okay.
Okay, so as soon as we take them down, they put them right back up. And we can only use the manpower that one day of the week because we have so many other things that we're trying to accomplish, for you all as customers throughout the whole rest of the week, okay?
Thanks for all you do.
All right, and we're gonna close out with Mr. Bettis.
All right, thank you. For the county residents concerned about roadways, mowing, litter that are not state roads, they just announced today a 120-day blitz. Litter and mowing, Prince George's County blitz. They're going to start a litter and mowing blitz across the county in all 9 council districts. They're quadrupling their efforts to clean up the county and to beautify it. So call 311 or speak to your county representative. Call their office if you have concerns and tell them that you want to make sure that the litter and mowing blitz for county areas are handled. It was just announced today, and it's probably a concerted effort to look at the county roads. Now, concerning my request, and again, I have noticed some improvement, and I thank everybody from MDOT and understand this is a huge task, but there's some disappointment, and I put this in the chat. Following the protocol for MDOT, we had a service request, 0453389 Hickory Knoll Road. That is the service road adjacent to 210 in Accokeek, Maryland. For 25 years, as has been suggested, this community in Accokeek has been picking up litter there twice yearly, sometimes monthly. We've also done our own cutting of the grass with our own personal mowers. We've also done tree planting. So we're dismayed, and we had a request in to have a road sign put up that identified as Hickory Knoll. It was never identified as such, but just recently found out that it had a name unconnected with our community, and we're dismayed that this was done without any notification, and it's not indicative of a partnership that is long-standing. So we're going to ask for the community, for MDOT to take a look at this, revisit it. I have the request in. I'm speaking to folks at MDOT, so you can look at that request and you can get back to me. I won't bore everybody here with the details, but if we're trying to work with MDOT, and we think that if you're going to make any type of name change on a road, that we should have been notified, and we're not happy about it. So it's in the detail of that service request, and I'm hoping that we can follow up on that to get that changed or rectified. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Bettis, I will try to get you an answer to that tomorrow, and then I don't know if you'll be at the meeting tomorrow night. But I'll be at the meeting tomorrow night as well as our traffic representative, and hopefully we can get you an answer for that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. All right, so listen, I want to thank you all for being on this call today. We have a plethora of comments that have come through the chat. And so what my office is going to do is
Bless you.
thank you. And my office is going to break out all of the action items, and we're going to update the actions into this the spreadsheet that we already have. And let me know if you haven't been able to take a look at the spreadsheet at all, so we can make sure you have a copy and you can keep track as long the same way that we are. And that'll make things a little bit more easier and cohesive than walking through all of those actions today. But we're going to get them because we have to go through one by one to make sure we capture everything appropriately to put into the action chart, because there's so many of them. But the main concern, like I mentioned, in terms of a lot of the reason, in my opinion, why we are where we are, it is a staffing and a financial disparity that is taking place in the MDOT District 3 office, specifically to the Upper Marlboro shop. So when we get to session in January, that will be addressed. We will be making sure that the money is pushed out effectively, and to make sure that all of the miles that we have across the District 3 shop are being funded appropriately. And then any of the other recommendations that come out of this group, and any other further people that may join us, we'll take those recommendations and put forth legislation as well, so that we can address these concerns and have a better platform moving forward. So I'm not going to belabor the point and keep us in here. It's 9:06. But I want to thank you all for taking time out of your day to be here today. And I'm looking forward to the continued work. We're going to be meeting again next month. This is, like I said, my promise is that we do this on a monthly basis so we can address this issue to make sure that we're all at the table to discuss this. But thank you all. I hope you have a blessed night. And thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Have a good one.
Have a good night, y'all.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
God bless. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for making this happen.
No problem. Hey, Tasha and Becca, make sure we save the chat, and then we'll go make sure we can send